Are you wondering if you're ready to retire, but you don't have the confidence to make that official decision, so you just keep working? It's fine for some, but others simply are burnt out, and they don't want to spend one more day at work. They're ready to wake up and have the freedom to do what they want on any given day. Now, I don't wear a sport coat for every video, but this one is so important, I even decided to dress up a bit. Many people continue working longer than they might need to because of uncertainty, personal choice, or other external factors. But most often it's because they don't have a clear framework to answer the big question: do I have enough to retire today? I see it often. People either oversave, waiting for a magic number that might be irrelevant to what they truly need, or they underestimate what they've built so far to fund the life that they've always dreamed of. If you're new here, my name is David Millington. I'm a certified financial planner
and president of Puzzle Wealth Solutions.
And I'm proud to have been named a Forbes Best in State Wealth Advisor for 2021 and 2024. In addition, I'm the number 56 ranked advisor in the US by Advisor Hub in 2024. In this video, I'll walk you through the 5 signs that you may have enough money to retire today. These aren't just vague ideas. They're grounded in financial principles, real world experience, and really practical steps. And if you don't check all 5 boxes just yet, don't worry. So let's dive in. Sign number 1 of 5. You have enough financial assets to support your retirement. The first and most obvious question is this: do you have enough money to retire? May sound simple, but it's the foundation of any retirement plan. Answering this question starts with understanding a framework I call the puzzle checklist. This strategy helps you estimate how much money you'll need on the day that you retire. Let's break it down. Step number 1, estimate your annual spending in retirement. Start by figuring out how much money you'll need to live on each year. But let me emphasize that, each year. What you spend each year will likely ebb and flow with car purchases, updating your home, medical care. You might have just paid off the mortgage, but then you have dental implants. The list goes on and on. So that is why it is critical not to build a plan with the assumption that expenses are static and simply increasing by inflation. That is not enough. You need to spend time with a financial planner like me who can help you understand some of the expenses that might pop up or disappear in the future. Why is that? Because I've completed well over 1,000 plans, and I know what might be around the corner for you. But let's do a little exercise. If you currently spend $140,000 annually before retirement, you might find some expenses like commuting, work lunches, payroll taxes, they're going to decrease after you stop working. However, other expenses like golf, travel, entertainment, those can dramatically increase. Why is that? Well, it's hard to spend money when you're at your desk for 9 hours a day. And when you're around your house more, the desire to update that kitchen or redo a bathroom or fix the landscaping hits you almost every single day. When estimating your spending, be sure to include the following: travel plans. For instance, one international trip a year might cost $25,000. For new cars, if you pay cash, that's great. Make sure you account for those lump sum payments in the future. Weddings for children, they can range from $10,000 to $100,000 or more for each child. With charity, you might find yourself helping out or giving back more. But with that, you'll likely find yourself making more donations when you're retired. Grandchildren, you'll probably spoil them a little bit, but also you might help your kids by creating a 529 for the grandkids, which will help encourage your children to save money for them too. But that's money from you to get it started. Housing, most think that you could downsize and save money, but that's not always the case. There are moving expenses, new furniture, modernizing the new home, realtor commissions, and if you have a higher mortgage rate, even though it's a smaller balance, it could have a higher payment. All this needs to be put into the calculation. And let's look at healthcare. A good estimate for out-of-pocket costs, premiums, other expenses could be $10,000 to $15,000 a year per person. And these are just starting points. That might not even include long-term care. So retirement is not a one-size-fits-all. We need to find out what your goals and dreams are and put that plan together for you. And we have plenty of experience to help you really think about those unknown expense items. With that said, let's assume your expenses come out to $150,000 a year. You don't need all of that to be covered from your investment portfolio, right? So where do you cover that? There may be income sources, which is step 2. Figure out your income sources and subtract those from your expenses. So what are some sources? Social Security, a pension. Social Security might be $42,000 a year. So if you have $150,000 in expenses, subtract $42,000, now your portfolio needs to support $108,000. And that, if the portfolio is not covering that, you may have to dip into principal. So step 3, calculate your retirement savings goal. goal. You want to estimate how much you need to save. So you multiply that 108,000 by 25. Why is that? There's a 4% rule that exists out there. A lot of you have heard of that. If you withdraw 4% of your portfolio annually, you likely will not run out of money. So 108,000 times 25 is $2.7 million. But that's just a starting point. It's essential to recognize that 4% rule is a general guideline. 4% is the right number when you're 60 probably. If you're older, you can actually increase that by 0.1% a year. At age 70, you could comfortably withdraw 5% and your plan will likely look great. It's just less years to cover. On the flip side, if you want to retire at age 50, you probably want to decrease that 4% by 0.1% a year. So at age 50, you might want to stick to a 3% withdrawal rate until you're 60. So this concept's based on historical US market returns, and it doesn't account for significant market downturns, prolonged periods of high inflation. So your plan should be tailored to your situation. But what if you're not quite there yet? What if you haven't saved 2.7 and you're at 1.5 million? You still have options. You could adjust your spending expectations, meaning you could cut your expenses from 150,000 to 130,000 a year. But I've truly found this to be really hard to do. After all, with credit cards, Amazon, online spending, it is harder than ever by far to remain disciplined. You could delay your retirement. Working 5 more years and saving an additional $100,000 annually will close that gap. Not only are you bringing in income to delay the draw on your portfolio, but you're also likely spending less because you're working. You could boost definitive income. What I mean by that is Social Security might start at age 67 or 68 for you. Delaying it to age 70 could increase that monthly benefit by 30 to 40%, which could add almost $1,000 a month. But you'll have to go longer without receiving initial benefits. So the key to all this is clarity. By understanding where you stand, you can make informed decisions about your retirement readiness. I created a downloadable spreadsheet. It's linked in the description to help you plug in your own numbers and visualize your financial situations. But note, this is the most basic of calculators. The planning solutions that we model at Puzzle get into the weeds to help you feel even more confident about your probability of success. Our questionnaire is actually 15 pages long for a reason. So that's sign number 1. We still have 4 to go. I appreciate you hanging in there with me. The second sign you're ready is to have a clear withdrawal strategy in place. This is critical because withdrawing from accounts in the wrong order could cost you thousands in unnecessary taxes and reduce the longevity of your savings. A good withdrawal strategy addresses the following 3 concepts. 1, which accounts to withdraw from first. For example, start with taxable accounts before tapping into tax-deferred accounts like 401ks or tax-free accounts like a Roth. But you can sprinkle in some of those as well because you might be in a low income bracket, so that might be a strategic reason to withdraw. You could complete Roth conversions during low income years to help save significant taxes over time. You also want to balance growth with your withdrawals. Your portfolio should still grow enough to keep up with inflation even as you begin to draw it down. To do that, you likely need to remain invested in equities or other vehicles. So back to sign number 3 of 5. You've reduced or eliminated your debt. Debt in retirement can create unnecessary financial stress. While having some debt isn't always a deal breaker, reducing or eliminating high interest debt is a strong indicator that you're ready to retire. Smart retirees also know the value of low interest debt. Here's what I mean by that. Paying off your home could free up $30,000 to $75,000 annually. This may seem wonderful, but it depends on the principal balance and current interest rates. If you were smart enough to refinance your mortgage during COVID at 2.75%, debt is a wonderful thing to have now. But you don't want to have high interest debt. I'll put it bluntly. If you're carrying credit card balances month over month and thinking you're ready to retire, you might have a pretty long education process ahead of us. The less high interest debt you carry, the more freedom you'll have to enjoy your savings. Sign number 4, you're ready to retire. You've accounted for healthcare costs. You might be super healthy, but down the road, healthcare is one of the largest expenses retirees face, and planning for it is crucial. In addition, inflation rates on healthcare expenses will likely exceed traditional inflation. Please bake all of that into your expense budget. On average, a couple retiring today might spend about $315,000 on healthcare throughout the retirement, and that does not even include a long-term care event. Here's what to consider. Medicare premiums. Depending on your income, premiums could range from $2,000 to $6,700 per person annually. And then there's supplemental insurance like Medigap, Medicare Advantage. Could be another couple grand every year. And it might be much higher with deductibles. And then let's look at long-term care. Nursing home costs can exceed $100,000 annually. And if you need a full-time nurse and you don't have long-term care insurance, you're going to be stunned to find out what that will cost. Planning for this, whether through savings, insurance, or both, is essential. By factoring these costs into your plan, you reduce the risk of financial surprises later. And then sign number 5, your portfolio is positioned for growth and stability for the long haul. Ask yourself, is my portfolio diversified? A 60-40 stock to bond ratio could average 5 to 6% annual returns historically, though individual results will vary. Ask yourself, do you have enough liquidity? Keep 6 to 12 months of living expenses in cash or short-term investments to handle unexpected needs. Am I taking on the right level of risk? Being too conservative could leave you vulnerable to inflation, while being too aggressive is going to increase that volatility. A well-balanced portfolio ensures your savings align with your goals and risk tolerance. Last but not least, don't gamble on the next 2 to 4 decades of your life by trying to time the market or watch the portfolio fluctuate each day. You need to build long-term ranges for each asset class. Equities, fixed income, cash, alternatives, and then stay in those ranges. If you time the market and get it right, congratulations. But what if you don't time the re-entry or exit properly? You could set yourself back years. And guess what? Most will tell you when they timed it right, but few will admit it when they're wrong. That is why tracking your portfolio performance in a disciplined fashion is a great way to stay grounded. So in conclusion, are you ready to retire today? If these 5 signs resonate with you, congratulations. You might be ready to retire. Remember, retirement is about freedom. Freedom to spend your time how you choose and create a life that's meaningful to you. Book a time with me and my team where I'll help you create a personalized plan tailored to your goals and your current situation. The link to schedule your free consultation is in the description box below. Thank you for hanging with me this entire time. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.